WGSS has allowed me to see what I'm doing on campus in a different perspective.
Even though the class seemed to have a lot of things that I thought I knew and very simple, just the way we analyzed it was completely different.
It's a very sort of self-reflective environment.
Much of the work we do is about helping students rethink about or reimagine who they think they are and in relationship to the world around them.
Professor Ariana is she's really quick, I think, and very passionate about what she does.
But then there's also this really, I think, awkward and uncomfortable moment where they say, well, maybe once we get rid of this inequality, we'll get around to some other things, right?
But she was very open to us having that class be about our experiences within the class. We would have response papers every week, and being able to respond to the readings in a way that personally affected you was awesome about it.
But at the same time, it got me back to that first feminist theory course where I was like, can I even be a feminist? I don't think so.
So one of the first things we really see students doing is working through what it looks like on a Saturday night at Colby, what it means to walk into a dining hall and figure out if you're going to eat cookies or not. I mean, these issues are very important for students because they're incredibly intimate. Ideally then, after students start working through the personal aspects of how they understand their gender and sexuality, they're able to move fairly quickly to why these things might matter in a broader context, not only at Colby, but in a broader world.
We're constantly trying to think about how we can bring the classroom with the students and make sure that what they're doing in the classroom gets reflected in some of the activist work that they do.
Well, my students really design workshops on activism for girls. And they can do those workshops in any number of ways. It's really something they develop over the course of their time in the class. For many of my students, this is the first time they've actually thought of themselves as activists or thought of activism as a project they could engage in.
My Gen Plan course was called Critical Race, Feminisms, and Tap Dance, and it was an innovative class designed to get the students to think through Black feminist thought by tap dancing.
I found the title of the class particularly interesting because it's tap dance, but it's also in relation to critical race feminisms, and I didn't really know what the connection was. So I figured I'll go for this and see what happens and see how it ties into that.
Yeah, one of the great things about WGSS is that it's so moldable in terms of what your personal interests are. So I'm an English major and an education minor, and so I've been able to take a lot of classes in both of those, which cross-list with WGSS.
The program says the varying roles of sex in Toni Morrison's fiction. Specifically, I'm going to be talking about both rape and incest.
The WGSS major culminates with not only the capstone course, which is the senior seminar, but also with a semester-long independent research project that every student's required to do. The culmination of that project is a presentation at the undergraduate research symposium.
So my senior honors thesis is essentially about the women murders and disappearances in Ciudad Juarez, Mexico. I just want to point out what I mean by feminicides. Feminicidios in themselves, they have a whole different aspect of state responsibility. So
I think our philosophy is to really push the students to think critically at every turn. I often joke with the students and say our tagline should be Women, Gender, Sexuality Studies. You'll never watch TV the same way ever again.
By the time they leave Women's Gender and Sexuality Studies, they are inquisitive and rigorous and questioning and really aware of the fact that we have a lot more questions than answers. And that's important to me. That says that we've done our work with them well.